It ain't opening. But it did open 9 years ago. The digital root was 9 then, I'm sure of it. I think maybe they changed the settings? Perhaps. Shit. If we can't get through that door, we can't get out. The walls are way too high, and there's no way in hell we could get to that whole 7 popped out 9 years ago. All we can do is stand here and stare at this door with a 9 on it. I guess this is it. This is the end. Or is it? I was watching. I had watched everything that was reflected in his eyes. I was listening. Every sound that vibrated in his eardrums I heard. Smell, taste, touch. I felt everything he felt. I knew. I knew everything about him. What was he thinking? What he was thinking, what he was feeling, what he was sensing. All his feelings and worries and fears became mine. Come on, Ghost of Akane, save them! My mind consciousness was inside of him. Through the morphic field said, we were resonant, and they were as, and we were as one. Sorry, sometimes it's difficult to read, especially because it's 1 AM. I was him, and at the same time, I was an observer. It started with a tremendous noise like a clap of thunder. That was approximately 9 hours ago. A bomb had gone off on the ship we were on. That was when my resonance with him began. My resonant event melted into him, and we became one inside of Junpei. Somehow I found myself in Junpei's mind 9 years in the future. But I didn't lose myself. I was living 2 realities at once. One was the present, and the other one was the future. Perhaps you can think of it as 2 movies showing on the same screen at the same time. Eventually, it became difficult to separate them and determine which movie is which. However, if I concentrated, I was able to focus on one or the other. That was why I was able to grasp what was happening in front of me. Come on, over here. That was my brother, Aoi. He was screaming. I followed him. Around me were 7 other children. They all looked like they were about my age. Come on, hurry up. We ran down a long straight hallway and burst into a large hospital room. Everyone was arguing. 2 of the boys got in a fist fight. A girl watching them began to cry. I want to go home, she cried. I want to go home. Another girl slapped the crying girl and glared down at her. It has been 2 hours since the Nanari game began. We were starting to fall apart. But just when all hope seemed lost, Light started talking. He was blind. 9 years later, we would call him Snake. Hello, everyone. Yes, could you come over here for a moment? He was older than most of us, and his voice had authority and dignity. The fights died down, and we gathered around him. I have a little sister. She is very important to me. Right now, she's over in Building Q and is desperately trying to send information over to me. Her name is Clover, and today is her 9th birthday. Oh, so her Clover is actually Clover? Okay. As he spoke, he pulled something from his pocket. In his hand were 9 4-leaf clovers. I was going to give this to her as her birthday present. I was outside picking them when I was abducted. I'm sure I've already told you, but I'm blind. For a man who can't see, collecting 9 of a very specific plant as well, it's difficult. But my sister means a great deal to me, and I hope that this would show her how much I cared for her. Since it's her 9th birthday, I thought 9 4-leaf clovers would be appropriate. Every one of you has a brother or a sister in Building Q with Clover. For their sake, we have to survive, we have to get off the ship. Don't you understand? 9 clovers? Yup, 9 clovers. Is that good for you, Cleffa? If we're going to do that, there are 3 things you have to remember. We need trust and love, and we have to have faith in one another. If we can't take all those 3 to heart, then I promise that all good luck will come our way. Did you know that leaves and the 4-leaf clover mean faith, trust, love, and luck? Those words are leaf words. So if you believe that what I've told you and you understand, then I want you each to have one of these. They are promises between friends. They gave a clover to each one of us. I took one too. Eventually, he was left with a single 4-leaf clover. He had one last thing to say. Now don't ever forget. So long as you have that, we will always be connected. Do you understand? When he finished, the tension of only a few minutes before was gone. We were calm. After that, we ran around the ship for a while longer, and opened several of the numbered doors until we finally found a door with number 9 on it.
I love how the guy with glasses has no eyes.
He didn't?
No.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
There's just glasses. I'm like, well.
In fact, there were 2 doors with 9 on them, and we found them in the chapel. We split in 2 groups and walked through the doors. Before long, we found ourselves in a room with a ceiling that looked like an upside-down funnel. For some reason, this room had another number 9, but this time it was only 1. But if there was only 1 door, that meant only 5 people could escape. What are we going to do? There aren't any other doors. We began to panic. Then, as if things had not gotten bad enough already, warning, warning. Why did they all think going through in the incinerator is a good idea? Emergency incinerator acknowledged. 18 minutes, evacuate, please, repeat, emergency, acknowledged, evacuate, what's happening? Like, just all at once. I mean, it did say incinerator on top of the door.
Well, what happens if I never be able to see it, though?
I don't know. What did that thing say? That doesn't sound good. My brother always swallowed hard and answered. I think it means this room is gonna burn. Burn. The plaque on the door says incinerator, and that voice said that the incineration is about to start. Incinerate means to burn. No, help me. Abject terror filled the room as everyone began to scream and cry. Every pair of eyes were filled with despair. Then, high up on the wall, a door opened and a man appeared. He was a huge, frightening mountain of a man, and large as a bear. 9 years later, we would call him 7. Don't worry, kids. I'm not your enemy. I'm one of the good guys. I'm a detective. I'm here to rescue you. The rest happened just like 7 had said it did. The 4 of us who had stayed behind were saved by 7. We crawled through the vent, away from the incinerator, and slid down into the hall. He came out on the other side of the door 9. On the wall opposite the door was a set of double doors. Blah 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 blah. We went through those and began to run up the spiral stairs. As we ran, I led the way. Behind me were Nonna, my brother, Aoi, Snake, and 7. The other children, the ones who'd gone through door 9 before us, were up ahead. I could hear them cheering each other on. We ran and ran and ran. We leapt across as many stairs as we could, and kept running. The stairs spiraled upward like a tornado. Eventually, I pulled ahead of the rest. Perhaps Nonna had slowed them down. I didn't want to lose them, so I slowed down as well. I didn't stop, but I glanced over my shoulder from time to time to see if they had caught up. It was when I realized, oh no, where is it? Did I drop Junpei's present? I knew I had it with me when we passed through the vent. Then had I dropped it as we slid out? I had to go back. I had to, but I knew I couldn't tell the others. They would stop me. I was sure of that. I didn't stop to think. I simply moved. I ran to the central hall and moved the room that connected to all other areas in the ship. And hidden in the shadows, a moment later, I felt the run of wind as they ran past me up the staircase. So it's all Junpei's fault. Is that what they're telling me? It's all fucking Junpei's fault. I waited until they were out of sight, and then I ran. I moved as quietly, and then I ran. I ran so far away. Finally reached the bottom deck. I ran to the hallway and looked around frantically. There it is. It was just where I thought it would be, sitting under the opening of the vent. I ran over and snatched it from the floor, but as I ran back towards the stairs in freedom, Jun's fault, but being dumb. The door of the incinerator opened and a man stepped out. It was Hongo. Kentaro Hongo. 9 years later, we would call him Ace. Yeah, so each sibling pair is a transmitter and a receiver, but then in this case, I have 3 older brothers and a younger sister. So, who's the lone one? How wonderful to see you decided to come back. The smile made my blood run cold. It looked mechanical, as if someone had simply pulled the corners of his mouth. Come with me. We must continue to the experiment. I shook my head, eyes wide. Slowly, I began to walk backwards. I stepped. To 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, then spun around and broke into a run. I felt Hongo's hand close over my left wrist. I said, come with me, and look at his terrifying face. The youngest one is the lone one. Okay. Makes sense. There was an edge of insanity to his voice now. I pulled as hard as I could. No, I don't want to. Let me go. Please, let me go. I shook my body and flailed my arms, trying desperately to get Hongo to let go of me. But I was still an only child. I was no match for a man, but I was still only a child. An only child. Not really. I was no match for a man like Hongo. Stop struggling, goddammit. Do as I tell you. He heaved on my arm, trying to pull me into the incinerator. I screamed, help me, somebody help me. And suddenly, Akane... We're seeing this story but from Akane's point of view. My brother Aoi burst out of it. Behind him came Seven and Snake. Akane, he cried my name again as he led towards Hongo. You came back, I cried out. Ha, you're too late, you idiot. Hongo threw his full weight against my arm, pulling us both into the incinerator. The force of it threw me to the ground. To the floor. I scrambled to my feet and looked toward the door number 9. Hongo stood between it and me, but behind him I could see my brother, his fists clenched. But those fists were never reached Hongo. So I'm guessing Aoi and Akane were in the same place. Even though they were their siblings, they didn't need to communicate with each other, so Akane somehow connected to Junpei? Maybe. With the cold, heartless screech of metal on metal, the door slammed shut. Hongo glanced at me mechanically, his face registering that there was an object there, but not anything he would consider human being. Then he turned away and walked to the red that sat next to the door. He reached into his pocket and removed 2 bracelets. He waved them both over the scanner panel. 2 asterisks appeared on the red. He checked the screen and then tossed the bracelets carelessly into the floor. What was he doing? What was the point? He made no effort to explain himself, of course. He said nothing at all, and walked past me as though I were nothing more than a rocker by the roadside. A few moments later, the double door slid shut as well. Faintly, I could hear someone pounding in the door behind me. I turned around and ran toward the door with the 9. Akane, are you okay? I could hear a voice from the other side of the door. A worried, frightened voice. Help me. My throat was already raw, but I screamed as loud as I could. My voice echoed lonely around the empty room. What should I do? I think I'm trapped in here. Where's Hongo? He went out the other door. What? Then it started again.